Today's lesson is topic 13, lesson 3, multiplying a fraction by a whole number using symbols. Today's objective is I will multiply a whole number and a fraction in order to solve problems. Here's our first problem for today. A recipe for 1 gallon of fruit punch calls for 3/4 cup of orange juice. How much orange juice is needed to make 8 gallons of fruit? Okay, when I'm reading this problem, I see that the recipe is for 1 gallon, but I'm actually trying to make a new recipe that's going to use 8 gallons of the fruit punch. I'm trying to determine how much orange juice I need in order to make my 8 gallons. So I need to know how much orange juice I use in order to make 1 gallon. It says that I will use 3/4 cup of orange juice. My question says how much of orange juice is needed to make 8 gallons of fruit. Based on what I already know, I know that I'm going to have to multiply this. Okay, so I will either multiply, and I could use what I learned the other day and draw a model, or I could use repeated addition. The number that I would use in order to repeat the addition would be my 3/4, because I need 3/4 for each gallon that I'm going to make. So I'm making 8 gallons total, so 3/4 cup of orange juice would be needed. The first one we're going to do is to do our repeated addition. So in your notes, include this. 3/4 plus 3/4. I have to write it down a total of 8 times in order to solve the entire problem for repeated addition. One more. I keep my denominator the same, and then I look at my top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 3 added together 8 times. Giving me, if I keep going, 3 plus 3 gives me 6 plus 3 gives me my 9. So I keep going all the way until I get to 24. So my total I have right now is 24/4. Let's go ahead and try using models like we learned the other day. So here are our models. We've already done repeated addition, so we're going to focus on using models right here. Each one of these blocks has 1/4 in it. For each of the gallons included, I need 3/4. So total right here, this would be for 1 gallon, because there are 3/4 in that one container. So I'm going to keep doing that. Okay. For each one of these, I know that 1 bar represents 1 gallon, what I need for 1 gallon of the fruit punch. I'm not going to write 1/4 on all of these other ones, but you know that the same thing would be done over here, because I have a total of 8 gallons. Repeated addition and these models are all showing me how I use multiplication with a whole number and a fraction. My denominator has not changed, so I am going to keep that the same in my answer. So when I actually come over here, in order to multiply, just like what this part shows me, I take my whole number and I multiply it times whatever I have on top over here. Okay, so each one of these up here, each gallon has 3/1/4 in it. So I would multiply 8 times 3 and leave my denominator alone. Notice I put them inside parentheses. When I have numbers inside of parentheses, I need to do that operation. So it says to use multiplication. 8 times 3 gives me 24. Again, keeping my denominator. Remembering that in order to find my simplest form or find out how many cups of orange juice I really need, I can read this fraction, this improper fraction, just like a division problem. I read it as 24 divided by 4. Knowing your facts, you know that 4 times what equals 24. You should have gotten 6. So, I'm not done yet because my 6 actually means something. I need to remember my label. So 6 cups of orange juice is needed in order to make 8 gallons of fruit punch. We're going to try doing a couple more practice problems, so include these in your notes as well. My first one I want you to include is 4 times 1/3. Notice that 1/3 is actually a really easy one because it is a unit fraction, just like we learned about the other day. Remember that unit fractions must have a 1 in the numerator. So I'm going to write it over here as 4 times 1 over 3. So I continue that. 4 times 1 gives me 4, which equals 3. I don't want to leave it as an improper fraction. So I know that 3 goes into 4 one time. When I subtract out my whole number of 3, I get 1 left over. My denominator remains the same. So 4/3 is equivalent or equal to 1 1/3. 4 times 5/8. Again, I will multiply my whole number, what I have here, my whole number here, times my numerator, and keep my denominator the same. So 4 times 5 gives me 20. I can read that as 20 divided by 8. So I could set that up just like I've been working on. 8 goes into 22 times, giving me 16. I have to then subtract all of that out, giving me 4. So when I get this, I have a whole number of 2. So my mixed number will be 2. What's left over is a part of a whole, so it's my fraction. 4/8. Ooh, I see 4/8. Both those numbers are even, so I could divide by 2. But I always like to see, does my top number go into my bottom number, which means is my bottom number divisible by the top number? If it does, I can divide both my top and my bottom by 4, giving me 2. 4 divided by 4 gives me 1. 8 divided by 4 gives me 2. So the total for this one would be 2.5. I want you to try the last two in your notes on your own. Bring them with you to class. Ready to go.